Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be going over the Boos Blades Hound. Now, this knife is actually fantastic. I love this thing. I think it's maybe the perfect EDC knife for me, and I think most people would find it to be an excellent EDC knife as well. Let's stick around and figure out why. So, first things first. This knife is not heavy. It is not heavy at all. As you can see, here's the scale. We'll get that bad boy on. And she weighs in at 2.73 ounces for what I already have measured to be a 3¼ inch blade. Not huge blade, but not a lot of weight. Now, comparison, same size blade, slightly different weight, PM2, 3.79 ounces, which is a much larger knife. It's a lot more weight. You're going to feel that in the pocket more than you will this little guy. So let's get rid of that. We don't need any of that now. Back to where we were. Next, this thing is, different in that it is a flipper, but it doesn't have anything sticking way out of the back like on a lot of flipper knives. It's simply a 90-degree flipper tab, which can be used with your thumb, middle index finger. You probably do it with a middle finger. I'm not sure why you'd want to, but there's lots of different ways to open it, and because of that, I like the flipper tab. The next thing I like here a lot is actually the action. You'll notice you'll never fail to deploy this knife. If you flick it anyway, do you see that? It almost gave me a little love bite there because it actually is so smooth running on ceramic bearings that it tried to bite me. It's something that happens. It's not ideal, but we'll live. I like the fact that this thing fires every single time, no matter what, always. No wrist ever needed at all. It fires and fires beautifully. It's not a very heavy blade, so it doesn't drop shut, but if you just give it a little flick, it closes perfectly. I think this is a great action on a knife. It's very smooth and very reliable. I also really like a lot of the details on this thing. So you have this cool little triangular pivot, which by the way is a non-movable pivot. It's not free spinning. If you go to take this thing apart, it's very easy. Simply 1, 2, 3 screws is all you need to take the whole thing apart. You actually don't even need to take these two out on the show side because all they hold in is the back spacer, which is actually where these screws connect into. There's actually a little Chicago screw arrangement inside of here holding all the screws together so nothing screws into the titanium. This is actually a really great way of doing that. Also like the way the lock bar here is a little bit recessed, so when the knife is open, you're not, pushing on the lock bar at all with your hand there, which is nice. I like it. And then, of course, it's super easy to get into the lock bar because it's got a nice cutout. It's very well done in that regard, and I think it's actually just a really good looking knife. The color is good. This 3-hole pattern, very good. They've used that on a couple of things. I think on the smoke they use that on. I'm not sure if they do that on the Mini. I think maybe just the full-size smoke. But, all great details, and it's a really pretty knife. Next up, we have this clip, which absolutely functions 100% of the time very, very well. I really like the way it works. It clips in, it keeps the knife hooked off to the side of your pocket. It's actually not a full deep carry clip, but it does ride really deeply in the pocket and is very difficult to see. Also, because it's kind of a thinner clip in this dimension, not many people will even recognize that that's a knife in your pocket, especially if you go for the one that's a silver. This variant of this is green, obviously, but they make a blue and a silver. The silver one is just going to look like a pen clip. No one's going to know. I mean, even the green clip or the blue clip, they look mostly like pen clips, and people aren't going to be aware that you're even carrying a knife. It makes it very discreet to carry around. I carry it all the time. I carry it pretty much everywhere I go, and nobody has ever even asked if I was carrying a knife. It's actually pretty fantastic. Along those lines, though, you also have the fact that this blade fits almost completely within the handle, so that there's not a lot sticking out, making this really compact. Really, really compact. So where did I put that PM2? Here we go. As you can see, this thing fits entirely within the handle of the PM2. Not even the knife, the actual handle. This is not a large knife to carry. It makes it very pleasurable to carry, and I think probably maybe my current favorite knife to carry on a daily basis. I carry a knife everywhere I go, and this one is very good for that. Next, let's talk about the blade. So, this blade is, let's see if we can see that here, M390. I don't know if you can read that there. It's an M390 blade, which is an absolutely beautiful blade steel, especially when it's done right. And this one is done right, although it does have a couple problems, but we'll go over those a little bit later. First, right now, though, you'll notice that the top of the blade has some jimping at the back for good grip. And speaking of grip, you can get, even in my hands, which are a large hand, not overly large, but decent-sized hands, I can get a full 3.5, almost 4-finger grip on here. That's a really good grip, and it does not hurt. The clip is recessed into my hand, right in the crease of the knuckle area there. This thing is absolutely brilliant in the hand like this. And because of this jimping, and because of the way this is crowned and smoothed and chamfered well on the top, and actually pretty much everywhere else too, this is a joy in the hand, and it cuts well, and it's just an all-around great blade. I really like this M390 blade. It's fantastic. The shape is actually also unique too, because I think it's maybe almost a little bit of a harpoon, shape, a little bit of a swedge up here. It is good. I've cut through boxes. I've cut through bags of concrete. I've cut through almost everything with this so far, and it works every single time. I like this knife a lot, that blade especially. All right, now let's talk about some things that I don't like quite as much. So, first, with the blade deployed, you'll notice that your fingers rest here and here. There is no finger choil. There is a sharpening choil, which is a good thing, but there's no finger choil here, so you can't really choke up on this knife very well. You can hold here, but it's not the best grip. And the problem with that is when you're in this position, you're almost a full inch away from the bottom of the blade, meaning if you're trying to do any sort of precision cutting, you're sort of kind of far. You can do it, for sure, and I have, but it does make it a little bit more challenging than something where the blade comes straight up to where your finger is. It's not a huge deal, but it is something that you would notice in certain circumstances. Whittling, maybe making a fire stick to start a fire. Feather stick to start a fire. That's the word I was looking for. You know what I mean. The other thing I'm not the biggest fan of on this knife is actually the lockup. You'll notice, and it actually has gotten a little bit better as I've owned this knife, but you'll notice that is 25, maybe 30% lockup. It's not perfect. I would like to see it closer to 50, but I mean, it's fully safe. I've spine whacked it. I've actually batoned some wood with it, and it worked perfectly fine, but it's not maybe the best lockup you could possibly hope for. The other thing, and this is probably the last thing that I think is just kind of is the color on here. And it's not that the color is bad. I actually love this color. In fact, I bought this color because my son's favorite color is green. And I thought I could hand this knife down to him, if it's a good knife, when he gets a little bit older. But the issue here with the color is that, and you may even be able to see this in places, it's already starting to fade off, like off the clip up here. On this side, you can see it's starting to wear down a little. Just, that's the nature of a finished, titanium item it's not anodized, it's just finished in this nice green, is pretty, but it's not the most durable finish in the world, and eventually it probably will wear out. I'm not sure if there's anything you can do about that, but it is something to, keep in mind. So finally we come to the things that are actual issues with this knife. Not just little nitpicks that I have myself, but actual issues. The first one being that this knife absolutely cannot open if there's any pressure on this lock bar. Move your finger, fires right away. Put the finger back. I do not have the strength to overcome the detent if you have any pressure at all on that lock bar. I'm not saying that's the end of any world, but to me, I'd like it to be able to open no matter what position my hand's in. I think if I'm ready to open the knife, I'm ready to open the knife. And putting my finger in a spot on the handle, by the way, it should still be able to open, and it just can't. I'm not really sure. I think maybe part of the detent strength is in the lock bar. And so if they made it, I'm not exactly sure how they would fix that. I'm not a knife maker. I am simply some random dude on the internet who's not maybe the best at that kind of thing. The other thing that I'm not really a huge fan of is when I got this knife, it was nearly dull. And I don't mean like wouldn't cut packing tape dull, because it would do that. But you could not shave with this. Not that you really shave with pocket knives anyway. But even cutting paper was a bit of a challenge. I have since sharpened it and made a bit of a hash of it, if I'm being honest. You can see some sharpening marks up here. But it has held the edge since I put the edge on, but it was not sharp from the factory. And honestly, when you're spending what is $220 for a knife, you want it to be sharp. I mean, above all else, a knife should come sharp from the factory, and this one just didn't. So I guess now we come to my part where I give you my final conclusion. Would I recommend this knife to somebody? And the answer is 100% yes. This knife is absolutely fantastic in just about every way. I love carrying it. I love using it. I love looking at it. I love playing with it. It's very fidgety. It's a fun knife to have. It looks good. Honestly, it's $220, which is not cheap, but at this point in the game, we all know what an M390 titanium frame lock knife costs, and much cheaper than that, you're not going to get a lot of quality. This is a quality item. The tolerances are great. Everything about this knife, I just love this knife. I would 100% recommend this knife to anybody who uses a knife on a daily basis, or even who doesn't use it daily but just likes to have something on them just in case. Because honestly, you put this 2 3/4 ounce knife in your pocket, you don't really even notice it's there. It's fantastic, and I 100% recommend this knife to anybody interested in knives. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoy the video, and let me know what you guys think. If you like the Hound, tell me down below. If you don't like the Hound, let me know that too. Pretty sure my next review is going to be something quite special. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.